welcome.
Oh my God, I forgot to start. That's bad. We're off to a good start. Oh, hey, welcome to the Buck and Mike Experience.
Experience sports like you've never had before.
Where the buck stops.
And the mic drops.
Bam.
Bam.
Man, that was almost a rough one. I didn't even have the beginning right, and y'all won't even know that. Hello, editing. So, well, fun times. How was your week?
Pretty good, man. It really hit home earlier this week when LeBron got swept for the first time in his career in the playoffs. It was exciting. I loved it.
20 years, all-time points leader, most playoff points ever, and all these things for it to happen. But, it happened.
Against the Nuggets.
A good team. It's a very good team. Can't take it away. Joker's the best player in the league right now.
Oh, 100%.
I don't
should have been in
as good as Jimmy, but he should have. It's that thing where they don't want to give a guy 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Because if they ever did the whole giving guys multiple in a row, then we'd have had like 7 years where LeBron would be the MVP every year. So.
Would we though?
Yeah.
But he didn't even win it twice in a row.
He never won it twice in a row, really. Didn't he have 4 of them?
He's never won it twice in a row?
Huh, interesting. I've never thought to look that up. Steve Nash won it twice in a row, but he never should have won either one.
No,
like if you go look, his numbers are not better than anyone that he won the award against.
No, so I'm not knocking on LeBron because LeBron had a really good game.
He really did drop 40, 32 in the first half.
He had a good first half.
He did. You can
he
tell
he burnt himself out trying so hard to make sure they stayed in that game.
100%. I think that, and I hope that for his sake, because I would like to see him play with his son. I think it would be cool to get to see that happen.
Yeah.
But I also understand that he's going to want to compete to keep being a winner. I think that it's time for him, because of his age, and I think this would go the same for a guy like Chris Paul, who can still be a very effective player when on the court, to consider the idea of going for that 6-man role. Like, I know it's hard because he's because you've been the prime guy. But you could just think if you could keep LeBron playing 25 minutes a night, and then you cut him loose in the playoffs. But think about how many less minutes he puts on his body in the regular season at that point, where he's missing time, and you're changing rules now to restrict these guys from missing games outside of injury. So if he played 25 minutes a night, he's still affecting you every night positively. He's probably going to win you 6th Man of the Year. And
I definitely would.
At 39, 40.
He's still playing too high to be able to do that. Like
that's why
he has to be your second best player now.
And that's exactly.
That's what
that's the problem, though, is he's still the best player on the Lakers.
Well, I mean, AD had better stats.
Yes, but look at the consistency of how AD's numbers stack. One game he'll have 12, one game he'll have 39.
Not against Denver.
Well, yeah, but when you look at
how his Denver, he was his
playoff run was very up and down, and so then all of a sudden it's like, he averaged 26. Well, yeah, but that's what happens when you get 11 and then 39, like you fall in the middle, like.
And it is funny if you look at LeBron's stats other than this last game. 22, 26, 23, and then this one at 40.
Yeah, like
and
you could tell that
he
was going to do what
consistently hitting that high 20, 30 points a game.
But it still comes down to, like I talked about before, after watching Game 1, is that multiple games in the series, LeBron was out-rebounding AD. Not just the entirety of the team. LeBron can't be the leader of that team in rebounds.
Right.
LeBron...
Right.
I actually am disappointed with the way the Lakers transitioned him away from the point guard job, because they brought him in and had him literally running the point, where he is a great passer. He has a higher IQ than half the people in the sport. He can get downhill, and then he can shoot the as-needed shot. But this year it seemed like they transitioned him back to that traditional small forward role, where he was off the ball more, and I get that.
Once they made the trade to get
Russell, especially, but that really bites you, because once you took him away from the ball when you needed him on the ball, it changed your offense too much to get a consistency and a flow. Because Russell played awful against Nuggets.
The only thing that I have to say about that is if you're constantly having him control the ball, then that's adding on minutes. So you're at least getting him off the ball and letting him kind of trot down court at his own pace instead of having to get the ball up the court.
Yeah, I guess I just think of it, you could, maybe if they engaged it more throughout the season run, it would have been easier when the playoffs got here once you hit a spotlight. Because, like I said, D'Angelo Russell averaged like 6 points for the Western Conference Finals. He was awful.
He was terrible.
Going into the Western Conference Finals, it was the Lakers are already broke. Now, are you going to pay Rui in Austin? Or are you going to pay Rui and D'Angelo Russell? Or are you going to pay Austin and Russell? Like, you are had to figure out who is going to put you over the salary thresholds that you're going to live with that because you need those 2 of those 3 guys.
Yeah.
After the Western Conference Finals, there's absolutely no way that D'Angelo Russell gets paid.
No.
Because he was awful. Like
he was terrible.
It was the biggest games of his career to the point, and he did not show up. Austin Reeves was consistently putting up buckets.
He was.
Rui Hachimura was one of the best players off the bench for any team in the playoffs.
He was
Bruce
one of the
Brown.
best defensive players.
Yes, he was fantastic.
He was doing a really good job. When he was in there, he was doing a really good job against Joker.
Exactly. And there was a report that they thought about starting him going into Game 3 in LA, and they ended up not. And I feel like that would have changed the series. Because if you're getting beat by 2 guys, AD and Jamal Murray. They were killing you. Other guys were doing jobs and contributing and things like that. But you can slow them down or let them beat you. It's kind of like I go play basketball at the rec center, and there's this like 5'3" little dude, super nice guy. He's like 52, 53. He's one of those hustles up and down the court guy. And I always tell anyone I play with that, yes, he can knock down a shot, but it's inconsistent. He throws up his whole body weight to get it there, the whole 9 yards. If he scores all 15 points, we deserve to lose. We're going to play double up the best player, rotate to help, and make him shoot. I'm making the other guy shoot. Let Rui be down there. Let AD float around, closing out, helping guys, still be there to defend the rim. And have Rui, who was one of your better shooters also, on the floor helping produce, taking the load off. Because when you're putting him in and he's only playing 22 minutes a night, he doesn't stay in and do a flow. And so, I don't know, there were some coaching things that I didn't agree with the way we're going. And you contribute that to the fact that they're running out, once again, Joe Blow coaches. Well, Darvin Ham. Like, okay. You couldn't have got anybody else. Like,
I mean, the way the NBA is, they're just trying to find the next guy after 2 years.
Yeah,
like,
it's
you didn't do anything these 2 years. Right,
everybody's literally saying if you're not Doc Rivers, Nick Nurse, one of these guys that's already done it, and they're all going to get jobs again, probably with each other's teams is what's the comical part of all this. Then if it's not that, it's go into left field and see if we can get the next Eric Spoelstra. I mean, that's just what it's been. Everyone's like, I'm going to get... And then you hear all the rumors that the Celtics players don't really want the guy that's coaching the team, and that's caused some of their problems that they've had, is that since Udo, which about 2.5 weeks ago, he signed to become the head coach of the Rockets, ever since then, there's been distrust and issues in the locker room because... I guess they thought maybe he was going to come back as an assistant coach next year, which I wouldn't see that happening. You're not going to take a step backwards in the same organization.
Yeah.
And so there's been rumbles of discomfort and things like that. And then, I mean, they had a good game 4, but they've been outmatched coaching-wise the whole round at this point. And so it's just, I don't know, it's crazy to see. It's fun watching how important coaching is and seeing it, coaching be the thing that's biting some of these teams in the butt in the late rounds.
Oh, yeah. And who was it? Shaq doesn't believe that coaching does anything. And
that's just
because Barkley is big on the fact that coaching does.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's really showing
Absolutely.
that coaching 100% matters.
The simple fact was the play that the Lakers could not stop was a high screen and roll, Joker to Murray. And then, when they weren't doing that, the Nuggets would literally send everyone to the other side, and Joker I want to say it was Kevin Garnett, who I don't even like, was like, he's playing playground ball. Joker gets the ball in the outside of the block, and he takes 6, 7, 8 dribbles and just pounds into you like he's the 50-year-old dude bouncing into a 25-year-old's pickup chest, and the kid's like, I can take it, hook shot. Like, that's what Joker was doing to the Lakers, and they weren't doing anything to send a guy over. They just let him dribble, powering his way to the basket. But I will say, I didn't think about a story, and I don't know if you're going to remember this or not, but I have now even more reason why I want Miami to win, and it has nothing to do with my like for Jimmy Butler. It has nothing to do with any of that. Do you remember earlier this year, I want to say it was the beginning of this season, and maybe it was last season, when the Heat were playing the Nuggets, and someone fouled Joker hard, he gets pissed.
It was Markieff Morris, it was one of the Morris brothers.
It had to have been last year then.
Yeah.
And Morris comes running, or Joker comes running down the court,
And just,
F's this dude up while his scary ass big brothers are in the stands. And the Heat players were waiting outside the locker room for him after the game. I forgot all about that. And then it came up on a Facebook reel, and I went, oh shit, that could be the finals?
I seen that too. Because it was what it was talking about was everyone wanted this Lakers-Boston matchup because it's so exciting. How was this not exciting? And then they brought that up, and I was like, I totally forgot about that.
I forgot that happened. It's been a while, sure, but 7 games playing for the biggest trophy in the league. Guy like Jimmy Butler, who we know has that Michael Jordan thought of everyone's wronged me, watch me get him back. Like, that shit's gonna be fun.
Yeah. And speaking of that game, I wasn't too shocked that Boston was going to end up taking one. Boston is too good of a team to get
too
swept.
much talent to get swept, too good of a team. And it's been well noted that the Heat's run is literally on the base that Jimmy Butler's been magical, and then Joe Blow, random guy goes off and has a 25-point game and helps make it happen. And you're like, well, they're going to keep doing it. So
I don't know if you've seen any of the interviews after the games.
I haven't seen them, no.
Man, there was I don't remember his name, but it was the one that went off in game 4, not game 4, game 3. But he was talking about, he goes, yeah, man, I love playing with Jimmy because Jimmy is one of those stars that wants you to succeed. Yeah, he's worried about him, but he's worried about you succeeding.
But
he wants
his
you
anytime.
to be good.
Exactly,
and I was like, man, that's an infectious type of personality that anyone wants to be around.
That right there is what's going to help a team get wins. That's the mold that you need if you want your basketball team to play.
That's going to bring free agents there when they hear stuff like that.
And what's crazy is that Miami's doing this with this roster of guys that Cody Zeller was the highest lottery pick, and Kevin Love maybe was, but by the time you get them, then they're all edged into their lives.
Yeah.
But every freaking article that comes up is, so this is how the Heat are going to trade for Embiid. This is how the Heat are going to trade for so-and-so. And it's like, if I'm the Heat, I don't want to trade for those guys. Because
you're giving us some homegrown talent that you've grown.
And you've seen that Jimmy Butler doesn't do well. Jimmy Butler wants everyone around him to do well, but when Jimmy Butler's an alpha with another alpha, he has not had a track record of that being successful. Because
Jimmy
he wants to
loves Joel.
Does he?
Yes.
Okay, I know.
Jimmy loves Joel.
I didn't know that. So maybe that would play into it, and it would help because Joel doesn't need to be on the ball as much because of his position. But at the same point, what you get from a guy like Bam, you can't put Bam and Joel on the same roster.
Right.
So you're gonna have to. Are you gonna trade Bam Adebayo because that dude's been solid for you? I mean, he's been a very good basketball player. He should have been the defensive player of the year last year, not this garbage Marcus Smart getting it. Like, I mean, this year Marcus Smart was so bad they gave him a hustle award because he kept getting beat and he had to chase everybody down. Like, and so it'll be interesting. And then there was some fun with Wemby. Did you hear about his interview?
No.
So you know where the 2024 Olympics are? The 2024 Olympics are in Paris.
Oh, okay.
And Wemby was asked, what is the first major thing he's looking forward to as getting when he gets to the league? And he said, honestly, the next major thing that I'm worried about isn't as much what I do when I get to the league. It's about beating the U.S. for the gold in Paris.
Ooh.
Called it out. Like, just no F's given. I'm about to go. God. I am getting pick number 1. I know I am this God prospect. And by the way, U.S., I want you. Like, just said, F it. Bring me the powerhouse. And so, this kid better have it because now he's throwing out gauntlets. Not, hey, I'm gonna win more titles than Jordan. That's less of an offensive thing than saying I want the U.S. in basketball.
Yeah. I did not hear that.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's
Woo.
already said like
Woo.
my home turf, my home country's hosting. I'll have been in the league. Like, I want those guys. He'll have literally been going into year 2 of his NBA career, and I can't think of like. I guess I'd like to know who else is a French NBA players right now. Current French NBA players. Like, who else would even be on the team with him? Like, because that matters. I mean, he can't beat the U.S. by himself. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, let's see, Nicholas Batum, but he's old. Roddy B. from the former Mav.
Oh, whoa, this is...
A lot of these guys aren't even current. Oh, Evan Fournier. Okay, he's good, but he doesn't even play for the Knicks. Osman Dang, the Thunder kid that didn't play any this year. Oh, Rudy Gobert. Oh, God. Oh, my. Their defense on the inside's big. Can you imagine driving on Rudy Gobert and Wemby? That's a lot of wingspan. I mean, Rudy can't take anyone outside to guard him, so that'll hurt him. Killian Hayes. So maybe they can get a decent little team. Frank Ntilikina, he's a Maverick right now.
He sucks.
He does suck. Theo Maledon, Thunder player, he's not very good. Yeah, no, they're not very good. Oh, here's some guys that got drafted but never played in the NBA that we'll never heard of. Huh. So, just so it's clear, the gauntlet was thrown down by Wemby that he wants the U.S. So, that'll be fun to see how that goes.
That's just another reason I'm going to dislike him, because he's going to be on the Spurs. So, as a Mavericks fan...
And they've already, like, the whole Spurs community is already huddling. Tim Duncan, who's on their coaching staff.
Tony Parker.
Parker, who they've already said, like, we'll be making trips to mentor him. Like, these guys don't even live in America all the time now. Like, Manu lives in, I think, Serbia. And Tony, I think he's dual citizen at this point, so he bounces back and forth. And, I mean, he was married to an American woman at one point, but...
Longoria?
Yeah, but one of them cheated and never understood it. We were talking, and this is going to take us totally off topic of basketball, and so if you have a movie thing, now might be your time to transition it. How hard do you think it is to cast a movie when you know that there's so many relationships in Hollywood that don't get along at all because so-and-so F so-and-so's wife while so-and-so did a movie with so-and-so? Like, Ryan Reynolds and, oh goodness, I can't remember who it is. Scarlett Johansson refused to work together at all. They're both Marvel actors. Like, good thing they killed one of them off because...
one's already killed off.
Exactly, because they couldn't have put them in a movie together in an Avengers thing. Like, how hard do you think if you're sitting and you're like, man, I'd love to have... I don't know, George Clooney in this role, and then be like, well, shit, he can't work with this one or this one or this one because he has this one.
To be fair, like, even if they did something, even if her character wasn't dead, it's easy to film scenes without them being in the same scene together.
Well, my understanding for those two is they won't even work in a project together. They don't care if their lines are different.
Yeah, well, I'm saying...
I mean, now knowing what they're getting paid, it's probably...
Yeah, it's Marvel.
And we also know...
Deadpool.
You know, I say that. We thought any of them could come back to life. Like, there's already been whispers that Cap could come back, Iron Man could. Like, they could all come back because there is a multiverse, and we know all that has been introduced and all that. But really and truly, we don't know what's going to happen now because I already saw a report that said because of the stuff with Jonathan Majors, widespread changes have already started.
Yeah.
I'm like... They're just going to have to start rewriting things, changing things. Then I saw that the new Deadpool that they just started filming like 2 days ago is going to start introducing new stuff now. When I don't think he was meant to be that important and he originally was listed.
Okay.
But now his movie in 2024 is going to like springboard this new what's coming.
Okay.
Now, he technically has spoken about the X-Men in his past movies and been to Xavier's house.
Yes.
So if that's when you're going to do it, like, this is your moment because now you can walk up and go, I'm I'm looking for Colossus, who you brought into other movies, and then go, sorry, and there's Wolverine at the front door, which we know is going to be in the movie.
Yeah.
And then we can all go, oh my god, like schoolgirls.
It's going to be one of those things where, just like in Deadpool 2, where he was at the Xavier Academy, and all he could get was Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Colossus, and then whenever he walked by that one room, Beast was in there with a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And they were like, shut the door real quick.
So
and,
they've got all...
they've got that where they can kind of do the same thing and
it'd be okay.
Yeah, but do it like the opposite where they open it up and you're expecting going, oh, it's going to be Wolverine, and it's like Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and you're like, oh, and then he goes, who the fuck is that? And he opens it up and there's Wolverine.
Or,
you're like, oh my god.
You can literally have him walk in making all this noise, and here he opens it up, and there's Logan just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, it'd be awesome. Like, and I almost hope that they take advantage of that and do such a simple transition. Like, instead of like trying to overcomplicate getting them in there, like it would be fun if they were just like, haha, funny, X-Men are here, and by the way, they've really been here the whole time. You know, it could be fun, and especially since you're keeping it as number 3, like you're not making it Deadpool. Like you're not starting over. You're just gonna keep going, so you get to keep all that content.
Yeah.
And so that would make it entertaining, I think. I did keep my movie list going, but I was really busy this week, so like I've literally watched half of The Natural. So I told y'all I'd report up on it. It is still sad-ish, the start is, because it's kind of a bummer if you've never seen it, how he ends up, where it goes, and all that fun stuff. But, I mean, it's better than I remember it. I've only watched it one other time, though. So I'll finish it probably tomorrow. I'm working from home tomorrow, so probably watch it tomorrow during my lunch break. So,
so with that, I think we should transition over to the NHL. I've said that too many times. The NHL, where... the Stars are getting blown out in every single game and then decided to turn into the Philadelphia Eagles and throw crap on the ice.
Yeah, Stars fans embarrassed themselves. Jamie Benn started it.
Yeah.
And just announced, it looks like, that he was suspended for 2 games. So he's done. I'm going to be honest, a lot of people, I don't understand a lot of hockey, but I know that they lost game 2 on a really boneheaded mistake by one of the defensemen. Like, all the experts that I've heard, like, driving into work and all that talk about it, say that he made an elementary level mistake that put Ottinger in just an impossible spot, which led to the goal that ended up tying the game, and then they went on to lose in overtime. And a lot of people are saying that it was basically just this spine snapper. Like, then you get into the next game, you give up 3 goals right away. Your defense has been atrocious the whole time. Like, I kept looking at it, and I look at hockey and I think goalie's giving up goals, he must suck. But apparently, they're getting wide open shots. Like, Ottinger's got no chance because these shots are just like, shit, he just beat 2 guys, and here I am all by myself skating back. Right. Can I glove it? And so, I think they're gonna get swept. It sounds pretty bad. Maybe they get lucky. The other series is the same way. Or the Florida Panthers are up 2-1 in the first right now. It looks like they might sweep and take it too. So
here's something that I've been keeping up with. I don't know the last time this actually happened.
Okay.
But between the NBA and the NHL, teams were 13-0 before a different team won.
You're talking about the conference.
Yeah,
we almost had the 4 sweeps.
Yeah, we almost had 4
like,
sweeps.
literally, the Celtics messed up all 4 teams possibly being swept. I saw that. And there was literally talk that, I want to say, I don't think that they've ever had it happen, where the 4, everybody just got swept.
Yeah, because
I
was like, oh my goodness, like, this is crazy. Like, every team is 3-0 right now. Like, and then Lakers get swept. And then all of a sudden, and then that before the Celtics ended up winning, the Stars ended up losing, so that ended up making 13.
Yeah,
because they ended up winning like 4 or 5 minutes later. But
they took it.
I was
both
like,
times
oh
gone to
my
overtime.
goodness,
They were just like, damn.
It was like 13. If they could have just done this, it could have been 2 sweeps, and then you have the NHL possibly doing another sweep, and I was just like, how can you let that happen, Miami?
You want to know the one negative of the sweep, though? Is that, and maybe they don't in baseball, but it seems like they do. And because these venues are all getting used for concerts and stuff like that, the dates can't change. And so, if the Nuggets got the sweep last night, or the night before, if Miami would have got the sweep last night, we would have had to wait 11 days before the NBA Finals starts. And they can't move it up because they've got concerts and scheduling things that line up to where they have to keep these dates according. And so, in the NHL, I don't think it would be as bad of a problem or the NBA, because it is basketball and it's more dominant in the media of the two. But in the NHL, like, if the scheduling is the same way, like, I can't act like in 11 days I'd even remember the Stanley Cup was going on. Like, I'd be like, oh shit, that's still happening.
Would they go that long?
I mean, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what
they would just go along with as
and you
it
would
is,
think, but at the end of the day, these stadiums are still getting used for venues and
what
stuff.
are they getting used for?
Concerts.
What concerts?
I mean, I don't know, but I'm sure that's why.
I don't ever remember anything happening.
Well,
with the
remember
Stars.
the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks series, they had to force a cancellation of a concert because they kept a concert on the books because they thought Atlanta would get swept. And so when they went back to Atlanta in the first round, I think it was like Janet Jackson or someone, they were like, sorry, concert's canceled. And they had to refund all those people those ticket money because of the basketball game. Because they need their arena because it comes sport first. So a lot of times, they will deliberately schedule these things, and then when the team starts to suck, like the Detroit Pistons, then they'll start letting them schedule things in those playoff times.
So I can understand basketball. I don't think they would do that for hockey, though.
I mean, I
not
guess
during
it
a
depends.
hockey season.
But a lot of them share the arenas with the NBA team. Stars share their arena with the Mavs. The floor flips over.
Does it really?
Yeah. They play everything there.
I didn't realize
No, seriously.
that.
The basketball court goes up. Whoop. Whoop. Ice. There's an entire basketball court under the basketball court at the AAC.
I did not know that. Why did I know that?
You know they share the arena.
How did I?
I mean, where the hell do you think the Stars play?
I mean, I knew they used to have
Like,
their own stadium.
the
at one point,
NBA
and for some reason, I thought they
No,
ended up with
the
somewhere.
floor that the Mavs play on, it's literally like, you know that snap-in wood floor you put in your house?
Yeah.
Snap, 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 snap. They literally go in, take it down, concert stage. Then they go and snap it all back in, flip the bitch over, ice rink.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know why I thought the
And you
Stars
know,
played
there's a
in
practice
their own spot.
And across the street from the AAC, you know there's that Mavs practice building?
Yeah,
Apparently there's a tunnel that goes under the highway
there is.
so that they can walk there, and that's how they get to the other warm-up basketball court.
My company used to do a lot of the fire protection work there, so I know all about that.
So you did all the fire protection work for a stadium and didn't realize that the hockey ring skates upside down?
No, I didn't get to go.
Oh, okay.
My company did. Like, they've told me about it. My brothers met Jason Kidd and Dirk Nowitzki.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like, he didn't get to get an autograph or, like, shake their hand or anything, but
Yeah,
he
you have to do the whole
got to see
professional
them.
thing going around the clock.
Yeah.
No, screw that. I'm out. I'm
Because
getting in
you
trouble that day.
mess with them, they will not let you back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, like, your whole company, like, that's lots of money off the table because you want to do something. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you really
If
hate
you lose your job,
you
like,
really hate your job, that's when you just go, fuck it.
but,
I'm going
like,
for it.
I went there one time, but we were only working in the
Practice facility side?
No, in the parking garage area, like in the private parking garage area for like the players. Like that was the only time I'd ever actually been in that spot.
I guess I forget there's actually fire systems in a parking garage. I just assume
It's all dry.
It's all concrete. Like what's it gonna do?
It's a dry system.
Yeah.
Out there.
So no, but yeah, I it'll be interesting. I think we end up seeing if the Panthers are up. They went to the end of the first, still 2-1. I think the Panthers end up taking theirs, and I really do. I think the Stars are done. Like I know we talked around. I think they're done.
Man,
it was a good season.
It breaks my heart, but yeah,
It's what we get. I finally pay attention to a couple. I turned on the game 2 overtime game and watched the whole minute and a half of overtime and the goal went in. I was like, well, shit, I'm bad luck. I better stop trying to watch hockey because bad things happen.
There you go. He's the reason they lost.
Sorry, Stars fans. Should have had Banks. So, but no, yeah, there's that. But then there was the other fun thing this weekend I was going to bring up. It's been all over the world. The guy that splashed one, and it's bigger than just his putt, but Michael Block, the let me phrase this because I had to learn about this. He's a club pro, which is different than a tour pro. Do you know the difference? I'm going to explain it to everyone else. But
I do not.
Okay, so a tour pro is someone who competes on the PGA Tour. They have their tour card. They are your cream of the crop, blah, blah, blah. A club pro is someone who basically works at a golf course, plays in some form of professional golfing events, and then usually gives lessons and things like that at your local, usually we're talking private private clubs, country clubs, stuff like that. So Michael Block is a club pro. I don't remember where he's at. I want to say he's in California area. I know he's in the California area, but I don't know like the name of the course he works at. He turns out he played college golf. I mean, obviously he had to be some experience in there. He's actually been like Mr. California like club golf guy 9 out of the last 10 years that it was a given award. And he's competed in some of these majors before. He competed in the U.S. Open twice, I believe it was, in 2007 and in 2018. He's like 45. And if you haven't seen his interviews, go look him up. The dude is like embracing this moment like you always hope you will if you get a chance to live your dreams. Like he gets interviewed and they're like, "We just learned you're gonna play with Rory McIlroy tomorrow." And his answer was, "Oh, no shit." And he's just like you can see the overwhelming of emotion where he's like, "No way." Like, with Rory freaking McIlroy, like, Rory's a great golfer. He's a big name in golf.
Yeah.
It's not Tiger Woods, but it's amazing for this guy. Like, he's getting to do this. And then he goes out, ties for 15th, splash birds a hole-in-one. Did you see the replay of that?
No, I haven't.
Look up his hole-in-one. He cups it. No grass, no nothing. It goes.
Oh, really?
Whoop!
Oh,
beautiful.
Wow. Okay.
Absolutely amazing. And so after the course, he's getting all these interviews. First things first is he ends up winning $240,000 this weekend. In order to make $240,000 at a club pro training rate, he'd have had to do like 3,200 lessons to get the amount of money that he made off of that. He's in Dallas now because he was going to fly home to California, but his boss and his wife were at the PGA Championship in Oak Hill with him when he gets a phone call from the tournament director at the Colonial, which is in Fort Worth, saying, "Hey, we have an at-large bid, and we want you to come play at the Colonial." So now he's in the Colonial this weekend. At least 2 or 3 other major tournaments have now called him and set him up to come and play in these PGA level events, giving him their club exceptions and stuff like that. Like, you see it? Holds it. It's absolutely amazing. His club that he hit it with, people are offering him $50,000 just to have that club as a collector because of how he did it. Like, his run is historic. Even Rory high-fived him after he hit it. And, I mean, he's awesome. Like, he's showing emotion. He's everything that you want to be when your dream comes to you. Like, don't miss the chance to enjoy it. And, I mean, it's an awesome story. It's a fun time. Like, he's someone I'm going to keep keeping an eye on because he feels like that, even though he is still a pro golfer technically, but he still feels like that every man's man.
Yeah.
Enjoying his moment. And I just think it's important to acknowledge the ability to do that. Like, people don't realize sometimes, and we watch it in sports all the time, guys get there and they don't respect their chance and they don't respect that moment. And we watch them literally just piss it away. I mean, some of these guys that have been amazing college athletes, they get to the pros and you're like, this guy has it. this guy has it, and then he just takes it all for granted. John Morant is doing it right now. He is
Yes.
taking for granted everything that's in front of him. And just, the cops had to go to his house today to do a wellness check because of weird posts on social media. Like, understand that this is your moment, and you don't want to miss it.
You know, what you were talking about, it reminded me of the video
About, yes, and
Adley
that's
Rutschman.
so smooth because
Yeah.
that was sliding it in. You can go right into baseball with him. Go ahead, take it away.
That was the video. Whenever I saw it, it was just one of those things where he took it off and he just looked around like it was
If
very
you follow-
reminiscent of Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah, if you follow our Facebook page, the Buck and Mike Experience page, like I shared the video earlier this
Is
week.
it? Okay,
Yeah,
that's where I see
because
it. Okay.
His numbers since he joined the Orioles, they're 30 games over 500 since he joined the team last year. Like, talk about one guy coming in and just changing the culture of your locker room. This kid did that. But when, like you said, he walked out, and it was, like you said, Angel of the Outfield.
Sucked it in.
Or Rookie of the Year when the
Rookie
kid
of
for
the
the
Year.
Cubs.
There
And he
you go.
stands there and he looks around and he's like, hell, like Mike, like every movie where a kid plays with the pros. And he's just like, son of a I did this.
I'm here.
I'm here.
I'm here.
And what has he done with it? He's been a freaking monster. Adley Rutschman, I mean, the Orioles, as great as we've been talking about the Rays are, the Orioles have two of the best relievers in baseball. They're only 3 games behind Tampa right now for first place in the best division in baseball. And it's largely because Adley Rutschman is an absolute stud.
Wow. They are. Wow.
Yeah, they're 3 games back.
I mean, that's impressive with how the Rays started
With
out
how the
this
Rays,
season.
exactly. The Rays have come down a little bit. Rutschman's 25. He's hitting 270 on the year, 7 homers. Like, his numbers aren't like just pop off the screen.
They're
but-
not Mike Trout or anything.
No, but he's a catcher. And a catcher that can influence, like we've seen it in St. Louis. A catcher's impact goes so much farther than any other player's impact does. He is the quarterback of the pitching staff. Especially now that everything's timed, it's not like you can look over to the coach and get an idea from the coach of a pitch to play or whatever.
Right.
Like, it's,
right.
I got to know what I want to do. I got to do it. And I got to know that my pitcher's confident in throwing that.
That is something that we never talked about, was the actual catcher point of view of having to do that.
Absolutely.
Because that changes a lot of things
I
too.
mean, they already call the pitches and the game and all that, and they handicapped catchers about 5 years ago when they did the mound visit limit, because a pitcher walking out to talk to his catcher, or the catcher walking out to talk to his pitcher, that counts as a mound visit. And as a kid growing up, I can't tell you how many times I watched a catcher call time, run out there. We're talking 10 seconds, not even a long time, not enough to actually change the pace of play, but just to get out there, wrap his arm around the guy and go, "You got this, man," and then walk away. And they don't let them do that anymore. And
I didn't even realize that.
yeah,
I didn't realize that.
and so
And it makes sense because I haven't seen it.
yeah, very
So
few catchers have that green light now at the major league level to
Huh.
go out there, because you are taking something out of your team's pocket, out of your coaching staff. Yadier Molina was one of those guys. If Yadi wanted to walk out to the pitcher, you gonna tell Yadi
You ain't
no?
you ain't telling
Yadi's
Yadi
gonna go
no.
out there and do it. Salvador Perez, he's like that. He's a guy that no matter how bad the Royals are now, that organization was nothing before him, and they're gonna be nothing after him. He's one of those guys that can do it. And it honestly feels like at 25 and only his second year in the league, Rutschman's gonna be one of those guys. Like, his ability to work with his team and
Okay.
just, hey man, you got this. Like, why are you freaking out? Just throw the heater. We're gonna be fine. And then going back there and bam, bam, bam. Like, his personality, everything that comes out about him is just glowing about that kid. And so
I can see that.
seeing how
Just that one little video
yeah,
made me feel that.
yeah, like you love the people who enjoy it. There's athletes that I genuinely don't like because they took for granted this sport. Like, they kind of pissed on the moment. On a moment that, as someone who's done sports my whole life, and you've done sports most of your life or been in them, like, at some point in your life, it doesn't matter who you are, even if you're not the most athletic kid, you said to yourself, I'm going to do that. Like you did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got a hard hit, your first hard base hit, you go, I'm playing the big leagues. No, there's never a chance in hell you were going to make it.
I was gonna be an NBA star, man.
Yeah, and so when you watch these...
5'8". I was gonna be a star.
Yeah.
Couldn't touch the rim. I was gonna be a
Still
star.
But when you watch guys take it in and just hold that moment like that, like it puts them in a level where it's like, I hope they do great things. Like I hope Rutschman goes on to have a Hall of Fame level career because he's respected and held on to the game and respected it at all levels from the moment he took the field. And that always will matter to me.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's kind of why the thing that as I've gotten older and I'm rewatching The Natural right now, you see a lot of elements of that in that movie where he shows a very strong respect for the game in that movie. So maybe that's it. It's also why I always liked Shoeless Joe, and I always felt like he got the shaft. I had to do a whole project over him in school.
Okay.
And how the Black Sox World Series played out, and how like genuinely screwed he's been, because he suffers with severe dyslexia and among other things, and so he was never outspoken. He didn't talk a lot. He couldn't read. And so he's literally suspended, most say, because he didn't understand what he was getting in trouble for to be able to defend himself. And if you go back and look at his numbers in that World Series, like he's literally been guilty by the association of he just knew the guys and hung out with his teammates, because he led both teams in home runs, average, hits, RBIs, stolen bases, didn't miss a ball through the World Series. Come on now. Like, how does that add up? And so, he's another guy that, it's a great story. If there's I don't think it's on my movie list, but now I'm going to want to go watch it. But
I'm not going to lie. I kind of want to go watch it.
There's a movie called 8 Men Out, and it is all about how that Black Sox story plays. It's got John Cusack in it. He plays Bucky something. I of course I'm gonna remember his first name, but I can't. I think it's Brooks, maybe.
Buck Weaver.
Weaver, that's right, Buck Weaver. He's their third baseman, and like he's strong-headed against it, and he ends up being one of the guys that gets suspended. And he's one of those guys that in the movie they portray him as like, I'm gonna do everything I can so that y'all can't blow this. And their justification, like it goes into why they did it. Like, baseball was different back then. They didn't take care of the players. The money all went to the owners. And if you didn't genuinely love playing baseball, you weren't getting it for the paycheck. Like, most of these guys had other jobs. And if you weren't a Babe Ruth or someone like that, like, you had to find other income sources. So, no, yeah, definitely give it if you take time, give it a look. I recommend to anybody. It's called 8 Men Out. It's John Cusack, and there's some other people in it that I can't remember off the top of my head. It was around the same time that he did Con Air, I think.
John Sayles, Charlie Sheen.
Oh yeah, Charlie Sheen. One of those dudes that always sneaks into a baseball movie. Major League.
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, that would be Mr. Time
John
Travel.
Mahoney, I mean. Michael Rooker. Okay.
Yeah, like it's a cast. Like it's a solid movie. So if I just turned you on one, there you go. That'll be a good one to watch.
I'm definitely going to have to watch that.
Yeah. And so, no, but the Orioles sit in second. The Rays are still in first in that division. The Yankees have been playing really good lately, unfortunately. You're never going to catch us rooting on the New York Yankees.
Never.
But they're up to third in the division and 10 games over 500. And mostly because Aaron Judge has figured it out. Aaron Judge has been smashing lately, and at this point, this season versus last season, he's only got one less home run than he had last year. And at one point, he was like well off last year's pace. So he's caught fire. I think he had like 4 home runs in 4 games and like 6 and 8 games or something crazy. But nobody's hotter than a guy we mentioned last week. Remember we talking about the Cubs and how they called up that kid I told you?
Oh,
Morale?
yeah.
Yeah. Christopher Morales hit 9 home runs in 12 games. He's absolute. I mean, he's EHing or DHing for the Cubs because, like I said, they don't know where to put him on defense.
Yeah.
The kid's hitting like 367, 9 homers, 20 RBIs, absolutely crushing the ball. We still suck,
Man.
but yeah, he's not even been playing on. Oh, they have him listed as a center fielder now. Yeah, he's hitting 367 with 9 home runs and 15 RBIs in just 12 games.
That's very impressive.
So
that's very impressive.
He's only 23, and like when I talk about him and tell you he's a defense, like he doesn't play a lot of defense for the Cubs, and he's an offensive guy. What would you think, like size wise, like his body stature? You think he's a big, right?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, he's 5'11", 145.
What?
He's a freaking wet blanket. 145 pounds.
145?
Yes, look at that. Right there on ESPN. 5'11", 145.
Wow.
He is a freaking munchkin man, but goes out and hits tanks. And so...
Boy, they need to put some meat on him.
Yeah. Because tonight, the Cubs are actually winning right now. They're playing the Mets, which Senga, the kid that throws the ghost fork ball, is facing Saya Suzuki, who was like a stud that came to the Cubs from Japan. So, like, that's a whole rivalry of Japan players going on tonight. But, yeah, that kid's a scrawny one. He's taller than me and weighs less than, like, I can't tell you a time in my life I weighed 145 pounds. I mean, really, even through, maybe in, like, my freshman year.
Middle school?
Was it maybe middle school? Like, I was a stocky person, like, my whole life. So
I think in high school I was like 165.
I was 240 my senior year. So, I mean, I couldn't even have gotten credit for it then. Like, I'm trying to think of a time. But, yeah, at 145 pounds, he's a DH. We have a
That is crazy.
31-year-old right fielder because this kid can't play defense. He smashes the ball, so he's already like second on the Cubs in home runs. So yeah, if you're looking out for your players to watch right now, Christopher Morale.
If that doesn't give people hope
that any size
can get to the major leagues as long as you're good,
if you have
that will give you hope. Right
all
now.
You need to know is how to turn your hips on a ball, because he is second on the Cubs in home runs, and he looks like 9th in RBIs, and everyone ahead of him has played a minimum of 35 games.
That is just crazy.
So he's come out absolutely scorching hot. Where else is there? So there's the fun one there. Yeah, he's so tiny. So then you get in and there's those standings you're starting to hear whispers about trade possible. Twins are up 3 games on the Tigers. Tigers are still looking better ever since what's his name chewed out Javier Baez.
Yeah.
They struggled the last 10 games. They're 4-6, but at one point they were like the Royals bad, so they're looking better. The Royals, they might as well just start selling. Aroldis Chapman's looking like Aroldis Chapman of old though. Yeah. He's out there throwing 103, 104 again. He's already set he's already set the franchise record for fastest pitch thrown in a Royals uniform of all time.
Really?
Yeah, like one of his relief appearances. And they had a reliever at one point on the Royals during their World Series run that could throw like consistent low 100s, low in 101, 102, and he already threw a harder fastball than that guy. So that was there's that. The Astros are 3 games back of the Rangers now, and I think they either just got or are about to get Altuve back. So as if the Astros weren't creeping up your butt anyway, they're going to get better.
They're right where they are because of their name. They're the Astros.
Well, they're not on the ass position. They are in second right now and only 3 games back. But they would only be 4th in the AL East. The hell, the Rangers with 31 wins and 18 losses would be 3rd in the AL East. You have the second best record among teams leading a division. Even you're even tied with the Dodgers at 31 and 19. Like, you have them beat in the loss column, and you're 3rd in the American League East. So it'll be an adventure. A lot of the fun stuff. We should start seeing it's coming into June, so it's time to start seeing those little vote for us as all-star ballots.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the Rangers are going to have Simeon, who I currently am eating crow on because I didn't like that signing, and he's looked really good this year. Leads the league in WAR. Adolis Garcia leads the league in RBIs. Corey Seager's been out, so it's hard to vote for him, but he's been killing it. When he's on the field. Right now, most people have your rookie third baseman, Josh Young, as the second best third baseman in the American League, and that's just because Yandy Diaz is on the Rays crushing the ball. So, and he's gotten hot again. Young's up to 11 home runs on the year and a 275 average. I think he's got like a 5-game hitting streak going into today or after today's game that he finished.
Heck yeah.
So, he's looking good. The NL Central is, remember how that bad division of football that we always get where there's a below 500 team that makes it? Right now, the AL Central might be that team with the Minnesota Twins barely over 500 leading the way. Literally, only 2 teams in the American League, only 5 teams in the American League have a minus run differential. 4 of them are in the AL Central. The other one is the Oakland A's. We know how bad the A's are. The A's lost 40 games before anyone else won 40 games. Are you looking now?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're minus 178 runs. They have given up 358 runs. I swear to you, I'll take the best high school baseball team in Texas, and I think we're scoring 5 on the A's. Like, you remember the third Major League movie where the Minnesota Twins had the Buzz minor league team and they end up scrimmaging them? Like, I feel like the A's could take their minor league team and we might actually see a ball game. Like, I mean, they're awful.
I wouldn't be shocked.
I'm trying to look. Like, they had that one guy that was playing great that I never even bothered to learn his name because I assumed he's an A and it'll all fall apart. Yeah, he's already fallen off a hill. Brett Rooker, he's got a 270 average, a 340 or 380 on base, so he's having a good season. He's the only guy on the team with a positive WAR, I think. No, there's a couple guys. But how old is this Brent Rooker kid? Watch him be like, he's 28. Probably been around a while, and we've never heard of him because, well, he's on the Oakland A's. Yeah, he's been in the league for 4 years, and he's been on the Twins, the Dodgers, and the Royals. And nobody let him play more than 14 games except the Twins in 2001. And now he's crushing it for the A's.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to add this up to see just how bad that run differential is.
Please enlighten me, because it's pretty bad.
This is just the National League, okay?
Yeah.
And these are just the teams that are negative.
In case you don't know, before we get too more detail, run differential is your number of runs you've scored versus the number of runs the other team has scored. So if you score 200 runs and the teams you've played against this season have scored 100, your differential is plus 100. So that's just because we know sometimes we have people that don't always know the stats, so we want to make sure you know.
So, New York Mets at minus 19, the Marlins at minus 57, the Phillies at minus 31, the Nationals at minus 24, the Brewers at minus 2.
But you're in first place.
The Giants at minus 20, and the Padres at minus 5. Now I'm stopping there. There's 2 other teams. There's the Reds and the Rockies, minus 45 and minus 43.
Yeah.
Now I'm only stopping there because that adds up to minus 158.
Which is still 20 runs less than the A's differential. That is how bad the A's are. He named, was that 7 teams?
Yep.
Yeah, 7 teams combined have given up a lesser run differential. That's insane. I mean, honestly, you could add the other 4 teams in, and it's still only a 60 run difference on the opposite end, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But when you started counting that, though, and it got me to reading here, it's absolutely nuts to me that the Milwaukee Brewers lead a division. In Major League Baseball, they lead a division in which they're minus 2 in run differential. Like, they're in first place. And I'm not talking about they're in first place because they're 26 and 25. They're 27 and 22. That's a 5-game spread. Like, talk about winning the close ones and just getting hammered when you lose.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane.
So I wanted to look at the AL. the AL outside of the Athletics, there are 4 teams that you mentioned all in the Central.
Tigers, Guardians, White Sox, and Royals.
Huh? You actually said the Guardians.
I did. Oh my God.
Oh, look at you. I mean, it's because you had to read it.
I was reading it off the screen.
So that's 210. That's minus 210. That's a difference of 32.
So for their whole division.
Yeah.
If you add in the Twins positive, then their division, then that whole division has a better differential than the A's do. Oh, that's awful.
That is terrible.
God,
that's
so
how
bad
the A's are doing. That's how awful this is. Like even
they're 1-9 in their last
40.
10.
They're 10-40, right? And their differential is 178.
They've scored.
The Royals are 15-35, just 5 games off, and their differential is 71.
Yeah, like they've only scored. And here's the worst part is, the Royals have only scored 14 more runs than them. The Nationals only scored 17 more runs, and they've won 10 games more than them. Heck, the San Diego Padres have only scored 9 runs more than them, and they're only 4 games below 500. They've given up 358 runs. That's insane. 358.
Crazy.
If you add the number of the Rays have given up 193 runs, the Orioles have given up 205 runs. That's 398 runs right there. That's only 40 more than the damn A's have given up all season, and they're 2 teams.
The Rays have scored 304. They're the only team that scored over 300 runs.
Yeah. And,
the
question is have they played the A's? Like,
because that can make up for some of it.
Yeah. That's kind of like when we talk about a football team, guy running for 110 yards, but he played against the 32nd ranked defense.
Yeah.
Like, we know the Rays have played a softer schedule. Let's see. Have the Rays played the A's? No. Yes, they have. They played them 3 times in April, and they beat them 11-0, 11-0, and 9-5.
So yeah.
And that's saying that the Rays lost the other day 20-1 in a series that they took 2 of 3. I'm trying to look and see can I find anything bright about the Oakland Athletics? Is there anything good besides that one kid who's 28 and he'll get traded because you're the A's and everything's awful about your team?
Well, I guess the positive that you can look at is they're 5-20 at home and away.
Asterio Ruiz, their center fielder, he's back 284, and he's got 25 stolen bases. That's impressive. I'm gonna go watch that kid play. No, I'm kidding. You'd have to give me tickets to go watch. Golly, that kid, the center fielder for the A's, is 6'169". He's bigger than Christopher Morale. He's only hit 1 home run, but he's stolen 30 bases almost. So
that is so.
That's
crazy.
What skinny people do.
That
Just
so
not Christopher
crazy.
Morale. The A's starting second baseman has a 167 batting average and a 250 on base. I mean, there's guys on this team that have played
Moneyball is not working for them this year.
No. Well, he's not with the team anymore.
I know.
He left, so that might explain.
He left a long time ago.
Yeah, it was about 3 years ago now. That might explain why they've been absolutely awful. I'm trying to see if they even have a reliever that they could trade at the deadline. That guy. All right, so Richard Lovelady. He's pitched 15 appearances, 13 innings, and has a 1.98 ERA. He'll get traded.
Okay.
Zach Johnson, he'll get traded. They've only got 3 guys on the entire team with an ERA below 2.5. The next guy closest at 3.38. Their earned run average. That's their runs they've given up versus the innings pitched. It's like the base pitching stat that people pay attention to. It's insane to me that they have players with a positive WAR when they lose as much as they do.
Yeah.
How do you have a positive WAR? There's a skewing in that stat. My buddy loves that stat. My buddy Justin Reed, he listens every now and then. And he used to be a guy that he would tell me, one side of his coin would be yelling and screaming about how WAR is the best stat in baseball because it tells you how much better you are than the next guy, which it does. And that's literally what it means. It's the wins above replacement.
Yeah.
And he was then he would turn around in the same breath and he'd scream, Nolan Ryan's the greatest pitcher ever. The greatest pitcher of all time. The greatest. And I go, I think Greg Maddux is better. And he'd be like, no. And then one day I get a wild hair in my butt and I decided to look it up. Greg Maddux has a higher career WAR than Nolan Ryan. So he gets on his soapbox about how great Nolan Ryan was, and I go, I'm about to prove you wrong. Are you ready to eat crow? you can't. Nolan Ryan's the best. And I said, Greg Maddux has a higher career WAR. Shit! He instantly knew that he had lost his whole leg to stand on. And he's just like, well, all right, I'll give it to you. Greg Maddux is better then. There's nothing I can do. He's like, Nolan's the best that I'll have got. One of the favorites I'll ever watch. I said, yeah, but they pitched him, Greg pitched after him. He's better. You can't even argue it. Your own stat backs me up. So Reed, if you listen this week, I'm gonna have to text you to make sure that you do. There's your show call out, and about that one time where your own stat.
I do agree with you
wrong.
though. Nolan Ryan is the better one,
No.
even if the WAR says.
I don't.
says it's not.
War aside the point.
WAR. What is it good for?
Absolutely.
Exactly. See, you win, Reed.
No. That was a rush hour drop. No, there's some of the insane stats about Greg Maddux though, like
They are.
there's numbers that
nuts.
you hear like, yeah, Nolan Ryan did amazing things. He had all the no hitters, through
and all the strikeouts
forever. Well, yeah, but it's like, I mean, if Nolan Ryan's strikeouts are almost at LeBron's playing years. Like, we're gonna break every scoring number ever if you play until you're 50.
Emmett Smith's rushing yards.
Yeah, like Emmett's rushing yards. But at the end of the day, LeBron got MVPs out of it. Emmett got great things. Nolan didn't even get a damn Cy Young. Like, come on now.
That is true.
At no
That
point
is true.
in Nolan Ryan's illustrious career did they say, you're the best pitcher in baseball this season. Really?
It's like, hey, I know you got 2 no-hitters in 1 year, but
7.
Sorry.
It is funny that you think about 7's a lot, and 7 is a lot of no-hitters, but Nolan pitched, what? 26 years? Like, damn. You think some of these guys might luck into one if they can make it that long.
Not only that, but he threw one in his late 40s?
Yeah, he threw one in his maybe late 40s. He threw one in Texas, and he was on the back end of his career with Texas. Here's the one, but like Greg Maddux has some stats, and then when in the same boat as Greg Maddux, there's some crazy stats that involve Tony Gwynn also. Like Tony Gwynn had, I think we might have mentioned this on the show before, but he had like 3,000 at bats against Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, and Pedro Martinez, and they only struck him out like 4 times. Something stupid.
And like 3 of them was from one pitcher.
Was from one guy. But like Greg Maddux here it is. Maddux faced 2,421 batters during his time in the league. In those 20,421 at bats, only 310 of them ever saw a 3-ball no strike count. Out of those 310, 177 of those were intentional walks. I mean, like, you could literally put a freaking pin needle out there and tell Maddux, hit the pin needle. Okay. And he'd throw the ball through it so many times that the needle went through the ball. Probably in the same spot. Like, it was insane how accurate he was. That number is in percentages is 0.006%, by the way. So, Larry Fitzgerald having more tackles and drops in his career.
Yeah,
it's a whole list of insane stats.
That's one of
That's
one of the
crazy
craziest like football stats.
Yeah, totally away from it, but we don't care about that. Larry Fitzgerald has more career tackles at 41 tackles, telling you how bad his quarterbacks in his career were, than he has drops at 29. And I think he went on like a 4-year run where he didn't drop a pass or some insane stretch during his 15, 16-year career. Like, he only averaged like 2 drops a season for most of that time. That ties baseball. Ton of fun stuff. We put on golf. There's really not.
43 years old
I
was
guess
his last one.
Was his last no-hitter? Okay. And so with that, there is not a lot going on in the NFL still. We'll slide in after we talked about the Fitzgerald's fun stat. There's not a ton going on.
The biggest thing, and it's really not that big, is the Commanders not getting the licensing deal, or not licensing, but the trademark for Commanders, which is kind of interesting, and it's because of
Probably that roller derby team.
the Commanders Classic. It's a college rivalry game.
Okay.
So because of that, and then there's something else, but because of those, they couldn't get the trademark.
And you know why? They don't deserve it. Because they should have just been the Sentinels in the first place.
But they can't have that either, because you'd have to get the trademark for it.
You know what?
Because
I think
because
Shane Falco would have signed off for it.
because a movie company owns the rights to that name.
Oh,
But
that'd be
I mean,
great.
that would be cool. I do think that with the new ownership, that they may not be able to, if they don't work out a deal to get this trademark, that I already think that they're planning on changing the name anyway.
Again?
Yes. It's not under new ownership now, and
we've seen new owners come in and not change team names, but I guess in this disaster,
Magic is already. Like before the deal even closed, Magic was already talking about changing things and talking about colors and everything else. Like
they're gonna become the Washington Lakers and go to purple and gold, and Magic's gonna be. He's not even but like a minority owner.
I would assume that they're going to play more on the red, white, and blue thing.
I think, and that's I joke the Sentinels, but like the red, white, and blue, even the red, white. Or the red, blue, and silver like they had in that movie, really and truly.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if you were gonna leave the Redskin name, which I was, I won't act like I wasn't against it. I had no problem with it, whatever. But if you're gonna make that change, like, you're in such a historic area.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason why, hell, you couldn't have been named the Monuments and made sense.
I mean, that's true.
Like,
that is true.
You've got museums. You've got.
You
hell,
think of
you could have been the Smithsonian's and had a whole freaking museum
other
thing.
sports teams like the Washington Capitals. Like
Yes.
you have all those certain things in that area.
Exactly.
And the Washington Nationals. Like you have something in that area, that specific thing
ties,
and then you're like
why.
Commanders.
Like, and a lot of teams grab them. A lot of teams make the right move. Like the Houston Texans makes sense. The Dallas Cowboys makes sense. Most people that aren't from Texas think we ride horses to work anyway. Like, it's crazy. Totally off again, but working now where I do, and I have to work with people that are in other states and things like that. Like, they instantly will greet me with a yeehaw or how's your boots today? And it's like, yes. I parked my steer on the 4th floor of the garage next to the water pail. Like, no, but I mean, you've seen some. Like, there's team names that don't necessarily make sense. Like, the Lakers actually doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's because they moved from Minnesota. They were by the Great Lakes. Like, there's just people that don't know that. And so they always wonder, why are they called the Los Angeles Lakers?
Another one to that is the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
Who relocated from New Orleans.
Which I didn't know that one. I always wondered. I was like, there's no Jazz in Utah.
They're originally from
that one makes a lot of
New
sense
Orleans,
now,
yeah.
though. Like, that does. I mean, there's some, like, you'd think that there's enough going on in the D.C. metropolitan area that you could have named that team anything.
Yeah.
But even, like picking the Commanders, like, hell, I liked it better when they were just the football team.
No, I hated that.
I mean, come on. The W on the helmet looked pretty cool. Like, it still does. It's basically what they're doing.
Yeah, I was like, they still had the W.
But, like, that looked pretty cool, like, when you were that. But now, because you have a commander, like, I feel like you need to have a logo. Like, I don't like teams that do necessarily the letter plan as much when they have a logo. Like, incorporate your mascot into your logo. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, because even their alternate is just, it's more of that football team, like a football club would do.
Like a soccer team,
yeah,
essentially. Football club, England side of the world. That across the pond.
Across the pond.
I mean, like, maybe I can sit down and, like, I'm gonna, like, go and do, like, a map view of DC. One of my coworkers works in DC. I'm gonna text her or message her.
Well, see, one of my favorite ones was always the Red Tails. I always thought it was really cool because it honors the Tuskegee Airmen that don't get a lot of credit in our history. Yeah. So one, it it aims at something that is very historical, that needs more recognition, and you're in this weird thing where you're trying, because of what your name used to be, you're trying to make amends in a way.
Yeah.
But of course, now that you're going to have a new ownership, you're not going to have to worry about that. Like, that was under the old ownership trying to make amends. Now you're going to be under a new ownership.
Yeah.
Now you can kind of start fresh and go, look, we're going to move forward and we're going to do things differently. We're going to get rid of this dumb name.
The thing that it's almost comical is that the new ownership, the last thing they actually have to worry about is the football team. The team on the field isn't the problem. Like, the roster's not bad. The coaching staff's not bad. It's everything that happens above them is so screwed up that it cascades down and they look bad. But really, you throw a stable owner in there and a good quarterback and works with, you're talking about how the Washington football team's competing in a low-end NFC. It's really not that hard.
The Commanders?
Yeah. Stupid. I don't want to call them that. I should call them the Redskins until they give me a real name that's worth a dollar. It's like the Guardians. Stupid name.
Them changing their name made no sense.
Exactly. There's a lot of them.
That was one of them where they were just like, we want to get ahead of this just in case.
Yeah, like I can kind of see that you could call the Redskin one derogatory at times, I guess, to take it away, even though, like, we choose Red Man.
Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, and you have a Red Man as a freaking gum, and we took Aunt Jemima off of syrup, but we didn't take Red Man off Chew. And so I don't get that one, but the Indians one, like you said, like, I hate that we've had this literal culture of canceling overly aggressively. Like, we straight up canceled all things Indians, and I feel like you've now overcorrected what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for places like the Braves, like Florida State. These schools and places that have said, no, we're not just dropping this. Like, this is what we've always been. And we're not changing that because someone's got their...
nothing that was offensive about it.
Yes, it's never been.
Name.
And you've got these tribes that are coming out and saying, like, no, we've supported that. Like, we had no problem with that. It's this is going to be the one that gets me in trouble. This might get our show canceled right here. It's white people that get offended by stuff like that.
It really is.
It really is.
It really is.
I hate to say it, but, like,
it is.
White people get offended by it, and then you'll get people that are saying it, and, like, yeah, there's certain ones that I'm not going to act like aren't, and they're offensive, and they shouldn't be accepted, and I know that. But, like, things like that feels like a white guy got a little butt hurt, and so they made him change their name.
Yeah. 100% agree. 100% agree.
I don't know.
That's one of those things because, like, it's very prevalent in culture. Like, I wouldn't even say you could just, white people in general are like, they're probably the biggest problem of everything that's going on right now.
Yeah.
Just trying to forcefully change things that don't need to be changed, and just because they want it changed, even though no one else does. But they're like, oh, they're making all this noise, so everyone's all like, oh, maybe this is a problem.
Or there's things that, like, the adjustment's been made to correct the issue by ancestors and people like that, and if we just left it alone, everything was fine, or everything's gonna be fine. But we need it to be instantly gratified, because as much as, yes, I use social media all the time. He uses social media all the time. We're going to post this shit on social media. The biggest problem with social media is that because of it, we are so used to getting everything we want right this very second that if a plan doesn't make an immediate impact, we change it right away. We never give anything anymore the opportunity to successfully see how it's going to work. We write a 10-year plan and we scrap it in one.
Yeah.
It happens constantly.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, that's why, that's a lot of where our problems are. Like, it's just, it is. Like, and that's really and truly, I don't know where else to go. Like, this is the most political I think we're ever going to get on the show. But you look at these things like the Indian name and all that, and you go, I'm glad that Brave fans still go and freaking Tomahawk Chop. Like, I just watched them play, and fun fact, Braves come to town to play the Rangers, there's more Braves fans every time. and they get up and
I think it's just because
they're very regional. I would call them as much as people want to say it might be the New York Yankees. I think the Atlanta Braves are America's team in baseball.
I think so.
Largely because of the run in the '90s.
The run in the '90s, just the cool aesthetic that they have.
Absolutely.
Of the jerseys.
And they carry those.
I used to see so many people.
That classic A
with,
is
with
gorgeous.
That,
and I love that they went the lowercase approach.
Yeah.
Not the A like the Athletics have. They were
Yeah.
like, no, look, we can do the baby A and still just look freaking sweet.
Yeah.
And so, no, yeah. But, I mean, now that we've gone around the wagon of our ability to ever touch politics and sports, I don't have anything else. You got anything else?
I don't really have anything else. There's in
said,
football,
not a
there's
lot going
really
on in
not.
football. I mean, we
that's
could
not
really add a whole bunch of unnecessary time and talk about every position that each team could still try to upgrade and those low-end free agents, but even that would just be wasted time.
Yeah.
And we think y'all are smarter than that.
Yeah.
You've learned from us so much that
Right.
we can respect you to be smarter than that.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at the top headlines, like there's really not anything to talk about, and I don't even think I really saved anything.
I will throw out that I did get a fun opportunity because of the show. I talked with Michael about it. If y'all get a chance to go at Chicano Sports Live on Facebook, I'm gonna start doing some spot-in color commentating for slow pitch softball games. I don't talk about it a lot on here because people laugh at the idea of it being a big part of a life, but slow pitch is a big part of my life still.
Used to be part of it.
Mike used to play a lot. I still play around. I just joined a new team recently that I'm really excited to get running with come start of June. Jump on, check it out. If you've played baseball in your life, if you haven't played baseball in your life, softball is a sport that is very easy to pick up. Like if you put the work in just a little bit, it's a fun hobby sport to have. Heck, I'm about to represent my new company in the corporate challenge as a player on the slow pitch softball team. And when I told the people that were looking for players about my background in tournament softball and stuff, they made me a co-captain. So I've had nobody on the team, and I'm already a co-captain of the Hilton corporate softball team. So yeah, we said we'd talk about some of the outside stuff we were doing, and I guess because I've gotten comfortable bumping my gums on things like this, someone was like, hey, you know slow pitch softball, you know players, will you do it? So y'all take a chance, join it, give it a look, it'll be fun. I'll probably be a little more PG than I am on here because I'm on live Facebook and I can't exactly say the F word there. But
so before we do go, I did find something that I saved. It has to do with baseball, not football.
Yeah, but if y'all find your way back.
Yeah. So this was actually from something I posted in 2017. So it's a few years ago.
I've slept a few times.
All right. Favorite MLB position players who played during your lifetime.
Chipper Jones.
So, my third baseman, Chipper Jones.
He's my favorite player ever, so that's easy.
So this is by position. Pudge Rodriguez, Frank Thomas, Robbie Alomar Jr.,
I want to say I did one of these.
Ozzie Smith,
My old Facebook. Good listing. Ozzie.
Chipper Jones.
Ozzie Smith played in your lifetime?
Yeah.
You're older than me, but you're that much older than me?
I'm close to 40, bro.
I guess so. I guess even near the back end of it.
And then my left fielder is my favorite player, Rusty Greer. So,
yeah.
There was 1,000 people better than him, but Rusty Greer is my favorite left fielder. King Griffey Jr., Gary Sheffield, because, man, back in the day, not going to lie, when I went up to bat, there were two people that I always batted like. Gary Sheffield with this whole thing, and then Jeff Bagwell with that low squat.
Oh my gosh.
And then my DH was Edgar Martinez. My right-handed pitcher was Pedro. My left-handed pitcher was Randy Johnson. And then my closer was Billy Wagner.
Billy Wagner, that was a good one. I remember Wags. I would say my favorite closer is going to have to be Mo. I don't like the Yankees, but Mo's playoff numbers are insane.
Yeah.
More people have been on the moon than Mariano Rivera gave up runs.
Mariano Rivera, obviously the best closer ever.
Oh, yeah.
But I would never pick a Yankee.
have to. He's one of the ones that I just respect his game so much that like, and there's others that I respect their game, but like my manager would be a guy like running my show would probably be Bobby Cox from the Braves. I used to love Bobby Cox. Chipper's my third baseman. I couldn't get them all off the top of my head sitting in one spot, but probably either Kerry Wood or Greg Maddox. Oh yeah, see, I
meant to send that. Yeah, and I
was that the thing that you were saying? Because you had before the show, you said you had something you wanted to bring up to me.
Dude, I totally forgot about that. No, that was on basketball.
Oh, then I guess we're gonna go a little bit longer. Hold on.
Yeah. So okay. So I got into, I wouldn't say an argument, but it was a conversation, and this my friend Ryan, he mentioned that 3/4 of a game is far more important than the last quarter. And I was like, how is that possible? And like the whole argument that he was giving on it just was like hurting my head. I was like, I know that these quarters matter, but if you don't finish, it doesn't matter how good those were because that didn't help finish the game. Because so we were talking about it like LeBron James.
Yeah.
Like this was actually before the final game. This is before that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't about the final game. But you take LeBron James, boom, he had 31 in the half.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finished with 40.
And he finished with 40. But he had 2 in the third quarter, and then what is that? Whatever.
7 in the fourth.
7 in the fourth. And we were talking about it. I was like, but he goes, but see, if they would have done that in the first 3 quarters, they wouldn't have to worry about the fourth quarter. I was like, okay.
Yeah, but they did. They were up by 15 in the first half.
And I was like, but what about the other team? Because if both teams do the same thing,
then what happens?
Matters. And he goes, well then we're in for a good game. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no.
The fourth quarter matters. You have to finish the game.
Your argument only matters in a situation like Game 3 of the Heat Celtics series, where it was a 30-point game going into the fourth.
Yes.
Because then literally all the Heat had to do was score 10 points because you're not giving up 40. It doesn't matter if you put the backups in.
Yeah.
You're not giving up 40 in the fourth quarter, so you're going to win the game no matter what.
And see, a lot of this sparked from it was from one of the games with LeBron, and then the following game when Jimmy Butler went off, we were in there calling him Himmy Butler, and Ryan was like, oh, so now all of a sudden, all this, and I'm like, look, LeBron, it was the game where LeBron had 6 points in the fourth quarter, which he had 7 this time.
Yeah.
That's not bad, but at the same time, it's not great because you lost.
Yeah.
So, and his whole argument was, but he did good these other 3 quarters. I'm like, I get that, but you are that dude.
Yeah.
You need to finish the game.
It's just a bummer on him because of age. But
yeah. And a lot of that kept going to that, and I was like, man, like
you almost wish they would like not play him in the first quarter and see if they could keep the game close in the first quarter, so that then he could be that fresh at the end.
That's what made me so like. As much as I was happy to see it happen, and as much as I wanted it to happen,
at halftime, I thought he was about to go for 60.
That he actually played that hard in the first half because I knew
that he
was not going to do it in the second half.
Because he just and as physically gifted and conditioned as he is, his game at this point, when it's not the catch and shoot threes, is so physically demanding that there's just no way to keep it up. And he played all 48 minutes.
Yeah.
He's the only guy.
Like 4 seconds.
Yeah.
In the second half.
He was the only guy in the entire team that played, I'm going to call it wire to wire.
Yeah.
Not
basically.
Yeah, not Austin Reeves, it's 25. Not Ruri Hachimura, that's 24. Not Austin, or I said Austin Reeves, not D'Angelo Russell. None of those guys play 48 minutes.
Right.
The 38-year-old, 20-year vet who's played more minutes than anyone's ever going to think about playing is playing every minute of the game. Like, there's no way he's going to do that. Because at halftime, you really could. You could have looked at that shit and gone, he's about to go for 60, fam.
With him only having 2 points in that third quarter, and I don't know what assists he had or anything. Like, I don't know that part.
9.
In that quarter?
Oh, for the game. I don't know what
Okay.
happened.
So, like, I don't know what his stats were for that quarter, but my thing is, you did that in the first half. Rest him for the third quarter so that he can come out there in the fourth
Yes.
and tear it up.
And that's what
Like,
we go
there
back
was
to
no
coaching.
reason for him to, even for 2 points, there was no reason for him to be out there.
He should have.
He should have been able to get more rest.
He could have sat the first 6 minutes of the third quarter, and then even if the Nuggets come back from down 15 to 6 in that time span, you've given his body the rest it needs to jump in and then close it all
Yeah.
out. And that's 100%. He's a guy that, I mean, like I said, we both agreed he's too good to be a sixth man at this point. He's not retiring. I get
He's not. He's
gonna play. He's already said too much about playing with Bronny to retire. He's finishing this out.
But there was something that he did say. He did mention that that might be his dream and goal, but it may not be Bronny's. So he did mention that also. So there might be this whole thing where
maybe
he wants to,
I mean,
but
we've
if
talked about the
if
fact that
he gets there and Bronny ends up playing for another team.
well, LeBron's a free agent that season. Like, his contract is wrote up to where when Bronny gets drafted, LeBron's a free agent. He can go wherever he
so
wants.
he's going to join.
So he can join wherever.
I got you.
Like, literally, if Bronny boosts himself to lottery draft class status, you're getting Bronny and LeBron. Like, that's what's going to happen. So you get two players for one draft pick. And LeBron's going to sign, I would guarantee you, for pennies on the dollar to play with Bronny.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
if Bronny looks at his dad and says, Dad, this is my chance to be myself, then LeBron retires, I think, because at the end of the day, he is a good dad. He cares about his kids.
100%.
And if his son said, Dad, I can't ever be my own legacy if you come and do this with me, and if you're even thinking about being done, then let me have this moment. LeBron will hang his shoes up faster than anyone that's ever done it.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that.
So, yeah. So, but once again, he's a fantastic person as far as family and things go off the court, and so that plays into
I'll give him that over Jordan.
100%. There's no way
I'll give him that
one. So, all right, with that though, that wraps everything up. We added a few extra tangents episodes. Man, we got political and everything. Look at us go.
You got political.
Fine. Yeah, I really did. I mean, hey, it makes it entertaining. So, y'all have a good night.